So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
Wrote it, you know what I'm saying? I paid the for the beat. I paid you for loaning me the money, you know what I'm saying? I paid you back your money. Now we splitting because you loaned me the money. But you own my I don't owe you a thing. Why is you holding on to my And that's standard. $25,000 signing bonus, advance, and 2 cents off every game we sell.
They know what they're doing.
$50 game. You giving me 2 cents? Let me think about that for a minute.
DMX strolled into a Toronto club expecting just a chill night until he locked eyes with Prince. What went down next? DMX said it felt like getting schooled by your grandfather. And if you know DMX, this was a man who once claimed he could have made sure there wouldn't even be a Ja Rule if he wanted to. So what on earth did Prince say to leave this street legend stunned? Earl Simmons, born December 18, 1970, in Mount Vernon but raised in the rough streets of Yonkers, faced chaos from the start. His mother, Annette Simmons, raised him alone in a harsh neighborhood. By age 7, he was bouncing between group homes, finding more loyalty in stray dogs than in people.
And sat down to school me, I felt like a little kid.
In a good way.
I felt like
he's the OG.
Like my grandfather
smacked
me like, what the f is wrong?
That fierce bond inspired the name DMX, Dark Man X. His first arrest, 1986, for stealing a dog, landing him 2 years in juvie. DMX was out here beatboxing, spitting raw rhymes, and making a name in Yonkers freestyle battles. His energy, untouchable, sometimes rapping with his hands cuffed behind his back in juvie or going head-to-head with MCs in the park after dark. For X, it wasn't just rap, it was pain therapy.
We had a club, and Prince comes in, big security guard. We go to the side, whatever. He's like,
he pointed at you and said like, yeah, can't just say that, actually.
Street life was still in his blood, and his rep made it clear. Jermaine Dupri once recalled booking X for a studio session in New York during his Life in 1942 project. A Source magazine writer showed up early, hoping to cover the magic. But before Dupri even arrived, DMX rolled in, 2 dogs at his side. Next thing, X grilled the reporter, sizing him up without lifting a finger. Just him, his stare, and those dogs. He told the man to run everything, and he did. No weapons, just pure DMX energy. The world knew Prince for his music, his mystique, and that hypnotic style that felt almost unreal. His bold outfits were pure art, but behind the glam, he was calculated, disciplined, and tougher than most could imagine. Prince wasn't just a star, he was a one-man empire, a mentor, and a mastermind.
What was it like being around DMX?
DMX was dangerous, man. Like, not dangerous, but he's like, when you around him, he's like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Very unpredictable.
Obsessed with control. By the time he left this world, he had 39 albums in 40 years, almost one every single year. And that's not even counting the rumored 500 to 1,000 songs.
He was born Prince Rogers Nelson. And by the age of 7, he was playing the piano. It's just one of the many instruments he's mastered over the years. He's written songs for the most popular singers of the day and has gotten countless awards. This is the baddest man around.
Still locked in his vault. Prince didn't just record music, he lived in the studio. He could knock out an album in a week or a full song, vocals, instruments mixed in a single day. Sometimes he'd work 40 hours straight, chasing that raw emotion and keeping the first or second take, not because it was flawless, but because it was real. Prince signed with Warner Brothers as a teenager, and by 1978, he dropped his debut album, doing everything himself. He wrote it, produced it, arranged it, played every instrument, sang every note, and even engineered the whole thing. Warner tried forcing an executive producer on him, but Prince shut that down. Full control was non-negotiable.
Amazed me, perhaps more than anything else, is how often I would come in and I'd see the mic in front of the chair in a sitting position, and you'd realize he had done a lot of that stuff sitting down.
His big explosion came in 1984 with Purple Rain, the movie and the album that catapulted him into worldwide fame. Tracks like When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, and the legendary Purple Rain proved he wasn't following anyone's rulebook. His style was just as fearless, blurring gender lines, breaking fashion norms, and rocking over 3,000 custom high heels built to survive his wild high energy shows. At Paisley Park, his clothes were handmade, inspired by his late-night sketches, lace, sequins, bold cuts, raw stitching. But behind all that glam, Prince was locked in a battle with Warner Brothers in the late 80s and early 90s. They wanted one album a year. He could make one in a week. So he decided to flip the game his own way. Prince launched Paisley Park Records in 1985, then NPG Records. But by 1993, the war with his label hit a boiling point. He ditched his name.
Oh, the stuff you'd hear coming from the door. Wow. But see, Prince would have the one track. So if he made a mistake, he'd roll back. But so often it would be one pass, and then you'd hear him doing the backing
for a symbol, and started showing up with the word slave painted across his face, not for drama, but as a protest. For him, it was about ownership. His motto, if you don't own your masters, your master owns you. By 1996, after finishing his contract, Prince declared himself emancipated and walked free. His own label meant full control, dropping music directly to fans through NPG Music Club and Lotus Flow 3R. On countless albums, he wrote, arranged, produced, engineered, and played every instrument. From Dirty Mind to Sign of the Times and Love Sexy, he fused rock, funk, pop, jazz, even electronica, sometimes all in one track. And he refused to let outsiders touch his sound. When Warner execs tried interfering on his debut, he straight up kicked them out. Prince never stopped calling out the industry's shady game, reminding everyone that contracts meant
As long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings.
crumbs for the artist. That person was Prince, and not just for DMX. Even comedian Cat Williams saw him as someone worth looking up to. But DMX wasn't the type to be easily impressed. Now picture this. He's in a Toronto club, fresh off filming Exit Wound, soaking in the music, the vibe electric. And then he walks in. Prince. A small man in heels, lace shirts, and velvet suits. Part rock star, part spirit, yet somehow untouchable. People joked about him. Even DMX admitted folks would clown the heels and the soft-spoken energy, sarcastically calling him Prince Gangsta. Glitter and platforms didn't scream tough guy. But that night shattered every stereotype. Prince entered quietly, but with power. No arrogance, just presence. He motioned for DMX to come over. Security? He told them to clear space, and they did. Tables moved, half the club backed up. Then, for over an hour, it was just Prince and DMX.
It seems like Prince is a G, man. Every story we got, everything he says is good.
Everybody
love Prince.
Who didn't know Prince, but would kind of make fun of the heels.
Locked in a conversation that would change everything. What rattled DMX the most was that this wasn't some pop star act. This was real. DMX had rolled with heavyweights like Jay-Z and Tupac, even brushed shoulders with dangerous crews. He'd been around leaders, men in full control, but that night Prince sat with him and started dropping pure wisdom. They didn't waste time on industry gossip or fame talk. They spoke on ownership, on life's meaning. In that moment, every joke, every stereotype about Prince vanished. He didn't just earn DMX's respect, he rewrote it. Years later, X still felt the impact because when a man who survived the streets, the stage, and the storm says you should listen, you listen.
Companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more.
That night in Toronto wasn't about egos or beef. It was two legends connecting with honesty and depth. And when Prince talked, DMX listened. One of the biggest topics, masters. The master recording is the original, highest quality version of a song. Every stream, every CD, every clip traces back to it. And owning it, that's where the real power lives. Here's what Prince drilled into DMX. Whoever owns the masters owns the music. It's just like land. If it's yours, you can rent it, sell it, build on it, or let it sit. But if someone else owns it, they call the shots and you're just living there. In music, most artists, especially starting out, sign deals handing labels full control of their masters. That means no say in where a song plays, how it's licensed, or if it ever gets re-released. And when the money comes in, the label eats first, the artist gets crumbs.
What is it exactly that you want to be free from when you're talking about your record company?
In your job, can you leave it if you want to?
Yeah, I can.
You can't? Well, in the record industry, you can't.
Prince lived that reality, and he hated it. In the 90s, he did the unthinkable, went to war with Warner Brothers for the rights to his own music. He had written it, played it, produced it, sung it, lived it, but didn't own it. And when Warner refused to hand over control, Prince pushed back hard and never let up. Prince pulled a move nobody saw coming. He dropped his own name for an unpronounceable symbol and started performing with the word slave scrawled across his face. On stage, he refused to answer to Prince, insisting on the artist formerly known as Prince. The industry called him wild, eccentric, dramatic, but he was making a point that cut deep. He called the music business what it was for many, a modern-day plantation. His message was clear: if you don't own your masters, you don't own your music. And if you don't...
So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
Own your music, you don't own your legacy. Prince built his own distribution, sold albums directly to fans with concert tickets, and proved you could bypass the system. This was before streaming, before social media. He was already moving like the future. Eventually, he won back his masters, but more importantly, he lit the path for others, showing every artist that no could be a weapon. Prince stopped speaking in code. He started naming names, and one name kept coming up: Sean Diddy Combs. Prince didn't hate Diddy's grind, he respected the hustle, but what bothered him were the quiet alliances, the partnerships that, in Prince's eyes, propped up the same system built to keep artists powerless. To him, these moves weren't just business, they were setting artists back decades. The fight had shifted. It wasn't only about ownership anymore, it was about influence. Who held it, how they used it, and whether they were breaking chains or just making them look prettier. Another thing that burned him: labels didn't care what the music said. They cared about what it made. Morals and values came second to profit. And that brings us to DMX. Did he take Prince's advice? Did he fight for his masters? Sadly, no fairy tale ending. By then, X was already tangled in contracts, lawsuits, addictions, and bad deals signed early on.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
In just 3 years, he had dropped 5 multi-platinum albums, an unmatched run that came with a heavy cost. The world saw the fame, the plaques, the anthems. But behind the curtain, DMX wasn't seeing the money he earned. He didn't own his masters. Hits like Rough Riders' anthem, Slippin', and Party Up were locked under label control. Once you sign away those masters early, getting them back is a brutal, expensive fight, sometimes impossible. Even after his talk with Prince, X didn't have the financial firepower or legal muscle to undo those deals. The industry isn't built for
disintegration going on that we really have to address.
Artists to take their power back, especially when they're fighting personal battles at the same time. By 2013, DMX filed for bankruptcy. Court papers showed about $50,000 in assets and over $1 million in debt. He owed child support, legal fees, taxes, and had trouble booking shows due to his record cutting off a major source of income. Some reports even claimed he didn't have full access to his own royalties. If DMX had owned his masters, things might have been different. But for him, money was never the fuel. He rapped to be heard, to make sense of his pain. The tragedy? He was in a business that ran on dollars, not truth. When the check stopped, the world stopped listening. There's no solid proof DMX
owning your masters. He explained how gave him the symbol.
Ever got his masters before his passing in 2021. Most of his catalog stayed under Def Jam and Rough Riders. Rumors swirled that his estate might fight for them, but nothing official ever came. That's the heartbreak. Not just that he left too soon, but that an artist who poured his soul into his craft never fully owned it. It's like painting a masterpiece and being told you'll never hang it in your own home. Still, something changed after that night with Prince. DMX started speaking openly about the business, warning young artists about contracts, telling them to read every line, and planting seeds for the next generation. Prince's message wasn't just for DMX.
I wrote it, you know what I'm saying? I paid the for the beat. I paid you for loaning me the money, you know what I'm saying? I paid you back your money. Now we splitting because you loaned me the money, but you own my I don't owe you a thing. Why is you holding on to my And that's stand.
It was for every kid chasing a deal, thinking that's the finish line. DMX learned the real game, surviving the industry, guarding your art and owning your name. He may not have claimed it all, but he understood the power of trying. If this story hit you like the video, drop a comment, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.